to First Gen Musings. Ash is here, and I'm in a vibe. I am in a vibe. Today feels calm and slow, and with a sense of like brightness and calmness. I don't know how to describe it, but I feel inspired and yet very calm and slow. So I think that that's the perfect formula for recording podcasts, for getting creative, for just sitting in the seat of whatever feels good that aligns with my desires and allowing myself to share it with all of you. So here we are. We're doing that. That's what's going down. Now, I don't know what day you're listening to this, but if the transmission of my voice and what I'm experiencing today can be transmuted and shared with you through these audio waves, take it. Like, take it, because I feel really, really good and very calm and very inspired and just excited to be here. Recording this episode under the energy of presence. I think that's what I would call it. It's just presence. The sun is out. It rained a little bit earlier. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. We have a nice breeze coming in, but the sun is beaming down. I'm looking at trees with the final bits of blooms at the tips of the treetops. Yeah, and it's just a good day. Today is a good day. So I hope you're having a good day. And if you're not, know that by the grace of God and the universe, you have tomorrow. And also we get to reset our days if we need to, whenever. So take that as an invitation to reset your day if you're having a bad day, in whatever way you feel called. And also to take the energy of my own delight and glory for today and leverage it in any way that you can. I'll share that with you. Okay. So this episode is the first episode I actually wrote for this podcast when I knew last summer, 2023, that this podcast was evolving and that there was a perspective that I felt we were not covering as it relates to being the first in the family to do a thing. And in the past, I've described my work a lot as being a generational pattern breaker, being first gen, be doing ancestral healing to clear the path for you to go after what you want to go after, but also ancestral healing for you to reconnect with spiritual, energetic, and familial support, deep old support and gifts and blessings for you to be doing and creating and experiencing whatever the hell you want to do, create and experience in this life. And I'll talk a lot about that in the future, but what I have experienced with my clients is that there tends to be, and even in my own life, like I want to just talk about this through the lens of myself, I have experienced feeling sandwiched between my great ambitious desires and things I want to like create and have in this lifetime, and feeling my family and my history and my background both supporting and hindering me in creating that. You know, it's like it's almost a sensation. I've used this as an example because I've seen it in real life family dynamics. I've seen it with real clients. I've seen it in my real life, and I've also seen it with ancestral work. And that is this experience of almost like a mother wanting you to achieve your dreams and go out into the big bad world, but because she doesn't want you to get your heart broken or to get in any trouble, a little bit holding you back. So it's like, yes, you could go to this huge, university that's 12 hours away and you have a scholarship to do it and it would be part of your dreams and you would study what you want, but also it's 12 hours away. What if something bad happens? You just stay here, just go to the school that's 2 hours away. It's like these little experiences, and that's a very practical example, but we feel this on a spiritual level. We feel this on an energy level. We feel this subconsciously in ways where we know that we have a big calling. That's the word I'll use, calling on our life to bring into our lives, to bring into our family's experience. But yet, because we don't have a blueprint of it, we've never seen it being done. In some ways, it marks danger. In some ways, it means that we're constantly learning. while also creating. In some ways, it means that we're the first, or we're the first in a long time, that we're pioneers, you know? And there's many moments of having to come to acceptance and come to resolve. I think that's the way to say it. Like resolve that, like come to acceptance. That's how I'll say it, of this being the truth of our existence, right? As first gens. So as I was realizing, and it's so funny because I was working with someone professionally last year who was guiding, being an oracle coach for me. And as I was writing through where my work was evolving from ancestral healing to something else, there's like this womanhood component to it. There's this family systems evolution creating to it. There's this wildly abundant, incredibly resourced and supported component to it. And I just couldn't, it's like every time I said the word first gen, my logical mind wanted to tell me that that was wrong, because that phrase, first generation, has been coined for a specific group of people. And similar to other people, you might resonate with this, especially if you're a thought leader, an entrepreneur, a trailblazer, a pioneer in anything that you do. We in our entrepreneurial endeavors and our thought leadership and our paradigm shifting, we don't want it to harm people, other people who are doing good. And also, there's a truth that no matter what, when you are creating and you are breaking a paradigm or evolving from a paradigm or showing a way in a new way, illuminating us into deeper into an unknown path, there's always going to be discomfort. There's always going to be some harm. There's always going to be something that ruffles someone's feathers. And for me, claiming this title, this description of first gen was one of many, but one of my very strong Achilles heels. I really did not want to offend anyone who identifies first generation from a traditional sense. So let's talk about that traditional definition. When we hear first generation or first gen, we often associate that with being an immigrant, being in a new country, being a new nationality, right? First generation is to become a citizen in a new country, or the first of a generation to be born in a country of which their parents had immigrated. So that's like definition one. But we also associate this phrase with denoting or making the first version of a product or a type of technology to be made available, such as first gen podcasts, not podcasts, iPods, right? Are you fourth gen, third gen, second gen, right? You guys remember that? Can't believe we had like a mobile phone and also a music device. Like what? And we do it all on one now. Anywho, but it's usually associated with if you are the first born somewhere in a new country, or if it's the first version of something. And because those definitions have been so strong, like the context in which we can use that phrase, I personally had insecurity. Like, let's just name it what it was. I didn't feel confident to bring that idea into the form of my work, which is really interesting because I truly believe, actually I have a teaching about this called Principles of Spiritual Entrepreneurship. I truly believe those of us who are entrepreneurs are those who see things differently in the world. We pick up on insights that people don't see, and we take two different things and blend it into something new, plus something from our soul, something that's needed in the marketplace, and we offer it in a new way that is innovative and that serves. And so I thought it was interesting that I had so much resistance to a phrase that describes exactly what I do and what we do, who we are, me, you listening. But because it's being used in a different way, I couldn't validate it myself. But now I am, okay? With some help of all of you, okay? With some help of all of you. So I want to be like, how is it that I, who am not first gen by those two definitions, like I'm not the first version of my product, like me, like I'm just me. There's only one me. And I'm also not first gen born in a country, but I resonate with and consistently attract friends, colleagues, clients who are first gen immigrant, like first gen nationality, first gen, right? And that our desires, our traumas, our experience, our aspirations, our paths in life, and our pursuit of success are so, so similar. That to me was the light bulb. That's like these two definitions of first gen is too limiting. It's too limiting for our actual lived experience. And the definition is like leaving out the expansion of what it truly means to be the first to do something. Like it's almost like we use the terms, let me say that differently. We use the terms pioneer or like first woman who did something. We look at it in those big scopes of like, you have to be a pioneer relating to money or the business or your gender, as opposed to approaching a life in a way that has never been approached before, pursuing your dreams, even having the dreams, but pursuing your dreams in a way that hasn't been pursued by anyone in your immediate circle, by anyone from the place that you come from. That is like, thinking about this got me thinking. Thinking about this got me thinking. Have we incorrectly limited the definition and use of this adjective or this phrase, first gen? Right? And is it time to expand on it? Which I believe, yes, which is what we're doing, which is why we even have this podcast, First Gen Musings. I believe it's time to expand what it means to be first generation, so that all of us who are pioneers, trailblazers, pattern breakers, legacy creators, lineage leaders, as I like to call us, can find our way, our resources, support, and understanding with more ease. And truly, what I know about us who are first gen muses is that we're really driven by two things. And maybe I should save this for a future episode, but I'll say it now since it's coming to me. We're driven by our own dreams, and we're also driven by showing our families and where we come from what's possible, like going out in the world for our own dreams, but then we bring it back to them. And what I have experienced in my work and my lived experience is that whole experience of like, I have some dreams, I'm going to go out in the world and get it and also bring it back or live it. And people who I'm connected to, where I come from, will come towards me and want the same thing or believe in something, believe it, whatever their dreams are possible for them because they saw me pursue mine. That requires us, which is so funny that visually in my mind, I'm seeing it this way. We're like boomeranging out and then we boomerang back. But in order to boomerang out to come back, we also have to boomerang back to come forward, right? We have to go and face our fears, our limitations, our traumas, our wounds, our mindsets in order to even be able to. So it's just what I've been talking about for years, is this experience of being elastic, right? This accordion effect is what I've coined it, is like expanding in both directions and coming back into self, and like expanding and contracting, right? We'll talk about that in the future. This is not to take away again from the original definition, and those who truly are first generation by immigrant, by living in a new country, like that is also like, and you can be multiple first gens. Like there's many ways that we can be multiple ways. That's funny how I'm saying it, but like we can be many different first gens. You can be first generation, as my husband is, in the States, but also first generation entrepreneur, first generation college educated, first generation consciously raising your children, first generation to get married legally, get married, have children consciously in wedlock, if that's something that you believe in, or, you know, be the first gen to end unhealthy relationships to marriage. There's so many ways to be the first, depending on where you come from and what you dream. So expanding this definition is to more accurately represent the people like you and I who have decided and set off to achieve and create and heal what others in our family wouldn't, couldn't, or just weren't called to do, right? It's not their work, it's our work. Maybe their work was something else. Instead, this is a place, right? So it's not to discredit any other expressions of first gen. I don't want you guys coming after me. I have no space for that. I only have space for us expanding and understanding and including more in a way that serves us. So this is a place where we can come together and be understood in our unique paths and lives, and ultimately supported. I personally don't feel much when people are like, is this normal? Am I alone? Like, I don't ever seek that type of validation. I usually seek just changing my experience to what I want it to be, as opposed to being like, yeah, other people have that experience. However, I do believe there's something about being a first gen that we do feel lonely. Like we mostly do everything alone. We've done so much alone because we are the first that we actually do need a gathering. And so far, we've been outsourcing that desire for belonging and connection, or not even belonging, because I think we have permission to belong to ourselves, but more so just the connection and the empathy and the encouragement by other first gens that centered the first gen experience, as opposed to being in a group of entrepreneurs and you are a first gen with entrepreneurs, but you don't know if that group of entrepreneurs also are first gens or second gen or, you know, third gen, but maybe the second gen had a regular job. And so you're not the first, but you're not like succession chronological order of entrepreneur. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think we need to have specific spaces for us doing these things as opposed to us being who we are and then going into these different areas of life, if that makes sense. It's a reorientation happening. Okay. a little off script, but that's okay. I think that this is a place, and I want it to be a space that touches on all the topics of being the one and the first and the only, so we can stop still feeling the way, feeling some type of way as we sit in community groups and spaces that are an area of life specific experience, as I just described. Like, I know women who are becoming more body accepting and body conscious. And so they're in groups around somatic healing and sensuality and touching their yoni and breast massage and dance and movement and like re-imaging their body image and their concept of self. And then it moves into identity. Like, you're the first to do that kind of work and to not shame your body and your shape, or to get in conscious relationship with your body and shape and your emotions and what your body says to you. But how great would it be if we were in a space that everybody was really the first, which arguably we can say a lot of us are the first in those spaces, since a lot of our parents didn't have the space, the time, the education, the internet to explore these things. But your family history is only going to define how acute being the first is to you and your experience. You know, like, a lot of people talk about becoming vegan and they're the first in their family to consider healthier choices. That's going to be an acute, like, very high sensation experience defending what you're learning about health in your own body. If everyone in your family is overweight, doesn't think about working out, doesn't think about being conscious of their food and their intake or their body shape at all, right? As opposed to someone choosing to be vegan and exploring food, but their family has seen a doctor who then referred them to a nutritionist for a time and they changed their diet to prevent diabetes. Like, there's a different level of consciousness in these experiences. And all of the experiences are valid and worthwhile. And I'd love to have a space where we get to talk about that, right? The variations of being a first gen within these different contexts of life seems missing and important. All right. I can hear some of you right now, because that is my gift. Some of you right now being like, isn't that just an ambitious person? You know, isn't that just a modern woman? Isn't that just someone who's gifted or a high performance achiever or someone who's a pioneer going after their dreams? Yes. But I don't feel that we've ever talked about this through the context of our family experiences and some of the challenges we have behind closed doors that is more intimate than just overcoming my mindset, dreams, believing I'm worthy. Like, those are the topical things that you see around achieving, creating a dream, having a business, being time freedom, but we don't talk about the familial challenges. And if we do talk about familial challenges of being the first and our experiences of being the first, it's always through the context of like psychology, being in therapy, like family constellation and like internal family systems. And it feels very therapeutic and medicinal. And yeah, from like the sterile scientific perspective, as opposed to the beingness, as opposed to the lived experience. And that's what I want this podcast to do for us, to be a lived experience. What am I going through? What have I learned? Not because I'm an expert and I'm trained in this and I wrote a book. I'm writing a book, but because this is what I've learned and lived. This is what I've witnessed with my clients. This is what I'm overcoming. And that is underneath and fueling what I'm doing surface wise and what I'm known for. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're on the same page. Most of us are all of those things. Most of us are modern women, higher performers, like all that stuff. We're also obsessive learners. We're creative thinkers. We're out of the box nonconformists. We're adventure seekers. We're risk takers. I'm like completely not averse to rocking the boat most of the time. Free birds that are indebted to no one, but also our families. It's not black and white. This is about redefining this term because it's not black and white. It's in the nuance. It is in the gray, right? There's also something about being first gen where we're always dreaming with one foot into the future while also honoring our roots with one foot in the past. So again, we're in this like middle creational experience. It's not either or, it's like both. And I see that a lot through the context of like my relationships and cultural understanding. Yes, I'm Black and I grew up in Black culture and I am in Black culture. And also, I've been worldly. I've been part of all different cultures. I have traveled the world. I've lived with different cultures. Went to sometimes like the Blackest hood, most, marginalized BIPOC schools. And then also was in like all blue ribbon, white upper and middle class schools. So what is that when you're what do they call that? Third cultured? I feel sometimes I'm third cultured. Makes sense that I have a lot of third culture friends who literally are mixed, like French and Moroccan. No, sorry. They're French Moroccan, but what's the word I want to say? Spanish speaking Colombian, like you're both. You're both. So anyway, I'm going to stop because I'm going to go on this whole like tangent. Let's just get through here. Being first generation is so much more than where you were born and how long your parents have been in a country. It's more than actually being the first to immigrate yourself, as I did. So I'm not first generation immigrant into this country, but I am first generation to ever migrate and to immigrate elsewhere, which is pretty freaking amazing to think that I'm the first to choose to go somewhere as opposed to having been stolen or having to be forced to go somewhere. Like I'm the first to venture from this land. Other people are the first to come to this land. So there's that. The adjective to me is just as much a way of being called, and a way of being chosen as it is a description. To me, first gen, it's an identity. It truly is. And I think that people, even those who have this phrase and this term in the traditional sense, also feel that it's an identity. Like they're always saying, I'm first gen American, I'm first gen college, which I am first gen college educated. All right, so it's time for us to have a space for all the complexity and all the nuance of this beautiful experience of our individual souls, our collective lineages, the things that we've agreed upon when we decided to come and play this game and play it well. I love that. I love that I wrote that. When did I write this script? Let's check for a second here. Oh, just in March. I totally thought I wrote this in like December 2023, but that's cool. That's good. I do believe that we are third culture in many different ways. And I think that the ability to live in nuance and gray is our superpower as first gens. And that we are the most driven, the most deeply loving, the most incredibly ruthless people I know, and also the most deeply feeling and loving. Like there's something deeper in our hearts and our souls that motivate us to lean into the unknown and to be brave and courageous. And because of that, we have a big learning curve to learn how to slow down and trust, be vulnerable, and allow the universe to work in our favor. Because a lot of us have like exaggerated work ethics because we had to, right? And we're going to talk a lot about that in this podcast series. Okay. Because our mission in life doesn't just live in our careers and our businesses, it also is alive in our bodies and our spirits and our minds every single day. I truly believe that those of us who are first generation, it's a soul's calling. Like we decided to do this. We decided to come here. And no matter how hard and challenging and triggering it is rightful. Like we're here for it. We signed up for it. We're capable of it. Right. All right. So this feels good and complete for now. I just wanted to give us a space to set the record and kind of like set the tone and what my perspective is that's driving the birth of this new expression of this podcast, First Gen Musings, what we can look forward to. If you feel that you are First Gen and that you have some musings and some wisdoms you want to share, you have some stories you want to talk about, please reach out. Don't be a stranger. I am opening up to you for the first time ever having interviews on a podcast and having beautiful dialogue that benefits all of us. Okay, so I live somewhere where we now get sirens. So if you hear that, I'm so sorry. But I think it's time for us to have more dialogue about this nuance and this experience and this identity. And so I welcome you to be in touch if you feel called. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to ask you a few things. I want to leave you with these things, actually. Number one, how are you just now realizing that you're first gen? Maybe you over-identified with one aspect of being first gen, but now listening to me, you're like, actually, I'm first gen in a lot of ways. If that's you, I would love to hear all the ways that you are first gen. Give yourself credit for that. And as you give yourself credit, be proud and also be gracious, right? Be grateful, be gracious, be gentle. Yeah, when we really see how much we're navigating. Number two, how can you honor your unique role of creating a new kind of life, lifestyle, lineage, and legacy? Okay, how can you honor your unique role of creating a new in your life? And as a result, that affects your family, your lineage, your legacy, and even culture, right? If we really want to take it that far. But we're all part of this, we're all here. And I'll give you a little teaser too that a lot of us as first gen are constantly going through a process of reconciling, forgiving, and honoring where we come from, right? And so we'll have a whole episode and conversation around forgiveness and going for better and more in a way that still honors and you're still appreciating everything that you came from while dissolving everything that you don't appreciate about where you came from. All right, y'all. That's it. That's me for today. Thank you for joining me on First Gen Musings. I would love to hear your thoughts and your reflections that my share has brought up for you. Until next time, I'm sending you lots of love wherever you are.